At 19, Darci Lynne confirmed what fans had feared. One of her own judges crossed a line she couldn't ignore. Known for her talent with puppets and her sweet, joyful personality, Darci had kept a painful truth hidden behind the scenes. What does it mean when someone so admired has faced such betrayal? Tune in as we uncover the truth that will change everything you thought you knew about AGT's judges. Fame and the hidden scars. Darci's road to fame looked glamorous from the outside, but few people could have imagined what she endured behind the scenes. This wasn't just about practice sessions, grueling rehearsals, or the usual pressure of fame. One fateful day, a judge, someone she thought she could trust, crossed a line. He was not a stranger, but rather a familiar face, one who was supposed to uplift young talent. It's the type of story that gets buried, hidden under contracts and non-disclosure agreements, but she could no longer keep quiet. Years passed, whispers turned into rumors, and finally, she decided to let the truth come out. The world needed to know about the ugly truth lurking behind all the lights and applause. Before we reveal the full story, it's clear that this betrayal goes far deeper than anyone could have guessed, and it won't be the only shocking truth to come. The importance of having a mentor like Gary Owen in her life cannot be understated. Gary was the kind of mentor who brought her into the spotlight, but also taught her how to handle the shadows. He was there to teach her not just how to perfect ventriloquism but how to understand every person in the audience, to make each of them feel like they were part of her path. Gary had been in the business for years. He knew how harsh it could be, how talent was sometimes seen as a commodity instead of a gift. But even Gary couldn't fully protect her from what was to come. After her win on America's Got Talent, her career skyrocketed, catching the eye of powerful people. Simon Cowell, who played a pivotal role in her path, saw potential in her and signed her to his music label, Psycho Music. At first, it seemed like the best thing that could happen to her. She now had access to top-level producers, amazing songwriters, and the tools to expand her career beyond ventriloquism. She dove into singing, television, and more, and for a while, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. But behind the success, there was an incident that haunted her, an event that had never seen the light of day until now. Her world wasn't just about talent and success. There was also a painful health crisis. A few people knew about the fact that she battled cancer. The disease tested her strength beyond what anyone could imagine. She faced it head-on, drawing strength from her family, her mentor, and even the fans who had no idea what she was going through. By July 2020, she was declared cancer-free, a triumph that should have been the high point of her young life. But even then, the memory of what she had endured with the judge loomed over her like a dark cloud. Winning the battle against cancer was no small feat, but there was another battle within her, a struggle to expose what had been done to her. Gary Owen wasn't just a mentor. He became a confidant. She found herself torn between the career she worked so hard to build and the truth that was suffocating her. Gary knew something had happened, but even he was stunned when she revealed the full extent of it. She described the moment when the judge overstepped, a moment so wrong that it changed everything for her. It wasn't just about inappropriate touches, it was about betrayal. Someone in power, someone who was supposed to nurture young talent, took advantage of his position. And there she was, a teenager, caught between speaking out and the fear of losing everything she'd worked for. It wasn't just Simon Cowell who helped shape her career. People like Justin Bieber had Usher, and Billie Eilish had her brother Phineas O'Connell. Mentors are supposed to guide young stars through the complexities of fame, not lead them into darkness. For her, Gary was the only rock she could lean on during those dark days. Even though she had everything, fame, money, talent, the one thing she struggled for was peace. When she finally spoke out, it wasn't for revenge. It was for every other young person who looked up to her, who dreamed of getting into the industry but didn't understand the dangers lurking beneath the surface. Just as her success started to grow, the pain she tried to hide kept coming back. The hard truths of Darci's rise. Simon Cowell, known for his sharp criticism, saw something extraordinary in her and took her under his wing. Joining his music label gave her the chance to learn from the best, but it also placed her in environments where people like the judge existed. After years of silence, she finally decided to speak her truth, and it shook the very foundation of what people thought about her career. She wasn't just a puppet master, she was a survivor, someone who had to fight not just cancer, but the very industry that was supposed to support her. Her involvement in cancer awareness and charity work shows her resilience. Despite her fame, her real legacy is about the positive change she continues to inspire. Her donation to the Toby Keith Foundation, helping children with cancer, was more than just a charitable act. It was her way of turning her pain into something meaningful. It was a reminder that even though she had faced dark moments, she chose to shed light on others. In a world where people tend to look at celebrities as untouchable, she wanted to show that she was just as vulnerable as anyone else. And when she finally opened up about what the judge did, it made her all the more human, someone who had been wronged but chose to rise above it. It's easy to look at someone like her and see only the success. The puppets, the songs, the fame, it's all part of the package. But it's also important to remember that behind every performance, there's a person. Behind the applause, there's a young girl who faced challenges that most adults wouldn't be able to handle. She fought her way to the top, not just with talent but with grit. And even though there were those who tried to take advantage of her, she chose to fight back. She chose to take control of her story, and that is what makes her truly inspiring. As she continues her career, she's not just entertaining, she's standing as a beacon of hope for others. It's not just about ventriloquism or singing anymore, it's about using her platform to talk about things that matter. The mentors she had, the support from people like Simon and Gary, they played their part. But it was her own strength that carried her through. And while fame might fade, the impact she has made by telling her truth will last far longer. She's proven that it's not just talent that makes a star, it's the courage to shine even when the lights go out. The entertainment industry is known for taking young talent and putting them under pressure. The demands can be relentless, and the pressure is immense. She was just a teenager when she became a national sensation, but the weight of expectation began to bear down on her. She was supposed to smile, be the perfect role model, and make everyone happy, all while dealing with her own personal struggles. As a teenager, it wasn't just about the skill, it was about trying to grow up under the scrutiny of millions. She was not only dealing with the challenges of her career, but also navigating the complexities of adolescence. The pressure to perform, the constant travel, the rehearsals, it all took a toll on her well-being. And then there was the judge. The one who crossed the line. It wasn't something that happened suddenly, but rather an accumulation of moments that made her uncomfortable. He was always there, offering her advice, giving her compliments that seemed friendly at first, but gradually became more invasive. He was a powerful figure in the industry, someone she felt she needed to impress, and that made his advances all the more confusing and difficult to navigate. She didn't know how to react, whether to speak up or stay silent. This was someone who had influence, someone who could make or break careers with a single word. The power dynamics were stark, and she, still a teenager, was caught in a terrifying situation. As the fame and demands piled up, she realized not everyone around her wanted the best for her. A rising star with a dark story. She tried to brush off the uncomfortable moments, telling herself it wasn't what she thought. She focused on her work, on her performances, on trying to live up to the expectations of her growing audience. But it wasn't easy. The judge's behavior became more overt, his comments more personal. There were touches that lingered too long, a hand on her shoulder that moved down her back. She felt trapped. She wanted to believe that it was all in her head, that she was overreacting, but deep down, she knew that something was very wrong. While all of this was happening, her career was still on the rise. She had signed with Psycho Music, Simon Cowell's label, and was working on new projects. She was recording songs, making appearances, and trying to expand her skills beyond ventriloquism. From the outside, it looked like she was living the dream. She was touring the country, performing in sold-out venues, meeting celebrities, and making a name for herself in the entertainment world. But behind the curtain, she was struggling. The trauma of what had happened with the judge weighed heavily on her, and there were days when she didn't want to get out of bed, let alone perform in front of thousands of people. The demands of her career left her with little time to process what had happened. She was constantly on the move, going from one city to another, with barely any time to rest. She felt isolated, unable to talk to anyone about what she was experiencing. Her family was supportive, but they didn't know the full extent of what had happened. She didn't want to burden them, and she feared that if she spoke out, her career would be over. The entertainment industry has a way of protecting its own, and she knew that if she accused a powerful figure, she could lose everything. But she wasn't alone. She had Gary Owen, her mentor, who noticed that something was wrong. Gary had been in the industry long enough to know when a young performer was struggling, and he could see that she was not herself. He tried to talk to her, to get her to open up, but she was hesitant. She didn't know if she could trust anyone. She had seen how quickly careers could be destroyed, and she didn't want to risk everything she had worked for. But Gary was persistent. He reminded her that she was more than just a performer, that her well-being mattered more than her career. Slowly, she began to open up, and when she finally told Gary what had happened, he was devastated. Gary encouraged her to speak out, to tell her story, not just for herself, but for all the young performers who might be going through something similar. It wasn't an easy decision. She knew that speaking out could mean the end of her career. She knew that people might not believe her, that the judge might use his power to discredit her. But she also knew that she couldn't keep silent any longer. The weight of what had happened was too much to bear, and she wanted to take control of her story. She wanted to show that she was not just a victim, but a survivor. The decision to speak out was a turning point for her. It was the moment when she decided that her voice mattered more than her career. She went public with her story, and it sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. People were stunned. The judge, who had always been seen as a mentor and supporter of young talent, was revealed to be something far darker. Her story was met with a mix of support and disbelief. There were those who stood by her, who praised her courage, and there were those who questioned her motives, who accused her of trying to get attention. But she didn't let the doubters deter her. She knew her truth, and she was determined to tell it. Even after sharing her story, the path ahead would bring new challenges that would test her like never before. A new purpose. Speaking out came with consequences. The entertainment industry is built on relationships, and she knew that by accusing a powerful figure, she was putting herself at risk. There were those who turned their backs on her, who no longer wanted to work with her. Opportunities that once seemed guaranteed suddenly disappeared. The judge, of course, denied everything, and there were those who believed him. He had friends in high places, people who were willing to vouch for his character, to paint her as a liar. The backlash was intense, and there were moments when she wondered if she had made the right decision. But for every door that closed, another opened. She found new allies, people who admired her courage and wanted to support her. She began to use her platform to talk about the darker side of the entertainment industry, to raise awareness about the abuse of power that often goes unchecked. She spoke at events, gave interviews, and used her story to inspire others. It wasn't just about her anymore, it was about changing the industry, about making it a safer place for the next generation of performers. And in doing so, she found a new purpose. She wasn't just a ventriloquist or a singer, she was an advocate, a voice for those who had been silenced. Despite the challenges, she continued to perform. She loved being on stage, loved connecting with her audience, and she wasn't going to let what had happened take that away from her. She returned to the stage with a new sense of purpose. Her performances were more powerful, more personal. She wasn't just entertaining anymore, she was telling her story, sharing her truth through her art. Her audience could feel the difference. There was a depth to her performances that hadn't been there before, a rawness that made every show more impactful. She also threw herself into her charity work. She continued to support cancer research, using her platform to raise awareness and funds for the cause. Her own battle with cancer had given her a deep understanding of what it meant to fight, and she wanted to use her experience to help others. She worked with the Toby Keith Foundation, participated in fundraisers, and visited children who were battling cancer. For her, it wasn't just about writing a check, it was about being there, about offering her support in any way she could. She knew what it was like to feel alone, to face something terrifying, and she wanted to make sure that no one else had to go through that. Her involvement in charity work became a central part of her life. It was her way of turning her pain into something positive, of making a difference in the world. She used her story to inspire others, to show that no matter what challenges you face, you can overcome them. She spoke to young people about resilience, about the importance of standing up for yourself, and about the power of using your voice. She wanted to be the mentor that she had needed when she was starting out, someone who could guide young performers not just in their careers, but in life. Darci Lynne's story is one of talent, but it's also one of resilience, courage, and transformation. She started out as a young girl with a puppet, a dream, and a talent that captivated millions. But what she became was so much more. She became a symbol of strength, someone who faced incredible challenges and chose to fight back. She used her platform not just to entertain, but to make a difference, to shine a light on the darker corners of the entertainment industry, and to inspire others to speak out. Her story is a reminder that the people we see on stage, The celebrities we admire are human. They have their own struggles, their own battles, and their own pain. Darci's path was not an easy one, but it was one that she faced with grace and courage. She turned her darkest moments into something beautiful, using her experiences to help others and to bring about change. And in doing so, she created a legacy that goes far beyond her talent. As Darci continues to perform, she does so with a renewed sense of purpose. She knows that her story has the power to make a difference, to inspire others to speak out, to stand up for themselves, and to use their voices for good. And while the entertainment industry may be filled with challenges, Darci Lynne has proven that with resilience, courage, and a little bit of hope, you can overcome anything. Is this shocking revelation about Darci Lynne's experience a one-time incident, or could there be more untold stories behind the spotlight? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.